My name is Elena. I am 32 years old. And 3 days ago I was legally a ghost. I was lying in a hospital bed in a room that smelled of stale bleach and dying flowers. There is a specific silence in a room where a doctor has just delivered a death sentence. It's heavy. It presses against your eardrums. I was staring at a ceiling tile, counting the little perforated dots, trying to make sense of the words that were still hanging in the air. Rapid organ failure. Irreversible toxicity. 3 days. 72 hours. That's 4,320 minutes. That is all the time I had left to exist on this earth. I turned my head. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. My neck muscles screamed in protest. I looked at my husband, Mark, the man I had shared my bed with for 5 years, the man I had promised to love until death parted us. I didn't think death would come so soon, or that he would be the one inviting it in. He was standing by the window, adjusting his cufflinks. He was wearing that navy blue suit, the Italian silk one I bought him for his 30th birthday. He looked bored, not devastated, not shattered, just mildly inconvenienced, like he was waiting for a flight that had been delayed by 20 minutes. When the doctors finally left, muttering their apologies and retreating into the hallway to avoid the awkwardness of grief, Mark walked over to the bed. He didn't cry. His eyes were dry, clear, and terrifyingly bright. He took my hand. His skin was warm. Too warm. He squeezed my fingers, but there was no comfort in it. It was a test. He was checking for resistance. He leaned down, his cologne, sandalwood, and expensive indifference filling my nose. I closed my eyes, waiting for a kiss, waiting for a lie. Instead, his breath hit my ear, hot and steady. He whispered, "In 72 hours, it all belongs to me." My eyes snapped open. He pulled back just an inch. And then he grinned. It wasn't a smile. A smile reaches the eyes. This was a baring of teeth. A predator acknowledging that the prey has finally stopped twitching. He patted my hand, turned on his heel, and walked out the door, whistling. That grin, that single, terrifying grin, it should have killed me. It should have stopped my heart right then and there. But it didn't. It did the opposite. It kick-started something in my chest that wasn't a heartbeat. It was a war drum. I lay there, my body failing, my blood turning to lead, and I whispered to the empty, sterile room. After that moment, I knew what I had to do. If you are listening to this and you have ever ignored a red flag because you wanted to be loved, if you have ever trusted someone who turned out to be a monster, hit that like button. Subscribe. Because I didn't just die. I woke up. And I'm going to tell you exactly how I burned his world down before my time ran out. To understand the hate, you have to understand the love, or the illusion of it. I met Mark 5 years ago. I was the Blackwell heiress. That name means something in this city. It means shipping containers, steel, old money, and a lot of lonely dinners in big, empty houses. I was rich, yes, but I was starving for connection. Mark was different. He was a consultant. He was charming, self-made, rough around the edges in a way that felt authentic. He didn't care about the Blackwell name, or so he said. He looked at me, not my bank account. God, I was so stupid. I was so incredibly naive. I look back now, and the red flags were everywhere. They were waving in my face, and I thought they were confetti. The way he casually asked about the inheritance tax laws on our third date. The way he isolated me from my friends. Slowly, methodically. They don't understand our love, Elena, he'd say. It's just us against the world. He convinced me to buy the Cliffside estate. It was beautiful, architectural, and completely isolated. Miles from the nearest neighbor. A fortress. He called it our sanctuary. Now I know what it really was, a kill box. After the wedding, the mask started to slip. Just a little. He stopped holding doors. He stopped asking about my day. He started becoming obsessed with paperwork. Sign this, Elena. Transfer this, Elena. It's for our future, Elena. I signed. I always signed. I wanted to be the good wife. I wanted to be trusting. Then, 6 months ago, the sickness started. It was subtle at first. A headache that wouldn't go away. A metallic taste in my mouth, like I had been sucking on old pennies. I started getting dizzy. I'd lose my balance on the stairs. Mark was an angel during that time. He was so attentive. He insisted on making my evening tea himself. Every single night at 8 p.m. My special blend, he called it. Herbs from overseas. It'll help you sleep. I'll drink it all. And I did. I drank it down, thanking him, looking into his eyes with gratitude while he literally poured poison down my throat. The collapse happened on a Tuesday. I remember because it was raining. I was standing in the foyer, looking at the rain hitting the glass, feeling that familiar nausea rolling in my stomach. Suddenly, the floor tilted. The marble rushed up to meet me. I hit the ground hard. My vision blurred, gray static eating the edges of my sight. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't speak. I was paralyzed. I looked up the stairs. Mark was standing on the landing. He was watching me. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He stood there, hand on the railing, just watching. He checked his watch. I swear to God, he checked his watch. He waited a full minute before he pulled out his phone to call 911. He wanted to make sure the damage was done. When I woke up here in this hospital bed, the confusion was suffocating. The doctors were baffled. My liver enzymes were through the roof. My kidneys were shutting down. My hair was brittle. We can't find a viral cause, the lead specialist said, shaking his head. It's like your body is just giving up. And Mark stood in the corner, playing the grieving husband perfectly for the audience. He held his head in his hands. He sighed, but whenever the doctors turned away, his face went blank. Cold. Calculated. I remembered then, a few weeks ago, he had brought home a power of attorney document. He had pressured me. With your health declining, Elena, I need to be able to pay the bills. I need to handle the accounts if you're incapacitated. I had hesitated. I felt a pit in my stomach. But he had looked so hurt, so offended that I wouldn't trust him. So I signed. The memory of that pen scratching the paper now sounded like a lock clicking shut on a jail cell. The nurses here sensed it. Animals and children always know. The night nurse, a kind woman named Sarah, avoided Mark. She wouldn't look him in the eye. She told me once while fluffing my pillow, he's very composed, isn't he? She meant sociopathic. After the 72 hours whisper, Mark thought I had drifted into unconsciousness. The drugs they gave me for the pain were strong, and I let my eyes roll back. I let my mouth hang open slightly. I slowed my breathing until it was shallow and ragged. I played dead. He came back into the room 20 minutes later. He was chewing gum. Loudly. The sound was disgusting in the quiet room. I heard his phone unlock. Then his voice. It was a voice I had never heard before. It wasn't the voice of the man I married. It was the voice of a stranger. Yeah, it's done, he said. 3 days. That's the absolute maximum. No, she's out of it. Her brain is mush. He chuckled. A low, dry sound. I've waited 5 years for this payout. 5 years of listening to her talk about her charity galas and her annoying mother. It's finally over. As soon as she flatlines, the transfer initiates. The Blackwell fortune becomes the Vance empire. He walked over to the bed. I felt the heat of his body. Sleep tight, princess, he mocked. You paid for a great life. My life. You were a stepping stone, Elena. And I'm done stepping. He grabbed his coat. I'm going to get a steak. I'm starving. He left. He left his dying wife to go eat a ribeye. As the door clicked shut, my eyes snapped open. Tears were streaming down my face, hot and angry. But beneath the tears, there was fire. Pure, molten rage. He thought I was brain dead? He thought I was weak? He wanted me dead in 3 days. Fine. I would use every second of those 3 days to dismantle him piece by piece. I wasn't going to die a victim. I was going to die a hurricane. I needed an army. But I was alone. My parents were gone. My friends were Mark's friends now. I couldn't trust the head doctor. Mark had been chatting with him like an old buddy, and Mark was charming enough to manipulate anyone. I reached for my phone under the pillows. My hands were shaking so violently I dropped it twice. I had to use both hands to hold it steady. Who? Who could I call? Then I remembered Samuel. Samuel was our driver. He had been with the estate for 20 years, long before Mark arrived. He was quiet, invisible. Mark treated him like dirt. He snapped his fingers at him. He called him the help. But Samuel had always been kind to me. He noticed when I was sad. He brought me ginger ale when I was nauseous. I dialed his number. My heart was hammering against my ribs, so hard the monitors started beeping faster. I had to hold my breath to slow it down. Mrs. Vance. Samuel's voice was thick with worry. I heard. The news says that it's bad. Samuel, I rasped. My voice sounded like gravel and broken glass. Are you alone? Yes, ma'am. I'm in the garage waxing the Bentley. Is Mr. Vance there? No, I whispered. Samuel, listen to me. This is the most important thing I will ever ask you. I am not sick. I am being murdered. The line went dead silent. Mark did this, I said, the words tumbling out. He's been poisoning me. He's waiting for me to die so he can take the money. I have 3 days, Samuel. 3 days before my body shuts down. I need you. If you help me, I swear your life will change. You'll never have to bow your head to a man like him again. But I need to know, are you brave enough to go against him? I waited. The silence stretched for 10 seconds. 10 seconds of agony. Mrs. Vance, Samuel said. His voice was different now. Harder. I've seen how he looks at you when you turn away. I've seen him spit on the ground after you kiss him. I hate him. Tell me what you need. I exhaled, a sob catching in my throat. I need proof, Samuel. I need you to be my eyes. Samuel didn't just agree. He unloaded a burden he had been carrying for years. I knew it, Samuel whispered over the phone. I knew something was wrong. Mrs. Vance, there have been visitors. When you go to your charity meetings on Thursdays, he has people over. Who? I asked. Not friends, Samuel said. Shady types. Men in cheap suits with expensive briefcases. I heard them talking about offshore accounts and liquidating assets. And, Mrs. Vance, I saw the deliveries. What deliveries? Small packages. From overseas. No return address. He never opens them in the house. He takes them to the garage, to the back workbench. I found a vial once in the trash. It had a skull and crossbones on it, but the label was ripped off. I should have told you. God, I should have told you. It's okay, Samuel. I soothed him, though my own blood was freezing. You're telling me now. I saw him practicing, Samuel continued, his voice shaking. Last week, in the reflection of the hallway mirror, he was standing there, forcing himself to cry. Then he'd stop, wipe his face, and check his watch. Then do it again. He was rehearsing for your funeral. That image hit me harder than the diagnosis. My husband, standing in our hallway, rehearsing his grief while I lay upstairs dying. He has a safe, Samuel said, behind the bookshelf in the study. The false history books. He thinks no one knows. But I dust those shelves. The red folder, I guessed. Mark always organized his business in colors. Red was for urgent. Yes, he put a red folder in there 2 days ago. He called it his golden parachute that. Go, I told Samuel. Mark is at a steakhouse. You have maybe an hour. Get into that safe. I gave him the combination. Mark had been stupid enough to use his own birthday. Narcissist to the end. The next 40 minutes were torture. I lay in the dark hospital room, the machines beeping rhythmically. Every beep sounded like a countdown. Time is running out. Time is running out. I imagined Samuel creeping through the silent house. The floorboards in the hallway always creaked. Would he step on them? My phone buzzed. A photo. It was a document. A life insurance policy. Taken out 6 months ago, right when the headache started. The payout was astronomical. Double indemnity for a sudden, unexpected death due to medical complications. Another photo. A draft of a will. It was forged. I could see my signature, but the loop on the E was wrong. He had traced it. It left everything to him. No charity donations, nothing for my cousins. Just him. Mrs. Vance, Samuel whispered on the other end of the line. I found a recorder. He records his meetings. Listen to this. He played a clip into the phone. The audio was scratchy, but the voice was unmistakable. It's a modified arsenic compound, Mark's voice said. Tasteless, odorless. It mimics autoimmune failure. By the time the autopsy comes around, it's metabolized. They'll never find it. I just need to keep dosing the tea for another week and she's gone. I gagged. I physically dry heaved into the plastic bucket by the bed. The tea. The special tea. He had been looking me in the eyes, blowing on the hot liquid to cool it down for me, and feeding me my death. He's home. Samuel hissed suddenly. I see headlights. Get out. I screamed in a whisper. Samuel, run. I heard a crash, a window sliding, and then the line went dead. I lay there for 5 minutes, heart exploding, until a text came through. I'm out. I have the drive. I have the folder. I had the evidence. Now I needed to survive. There was a young doctor on rotation, Dr. Eris. He was intense, focused, and unlike the head doctor, he hadn't been charmed by Mark's donations to the hospital wing. He had looked at my chart earlier with a frown, like a puzzle piece didn't fit. I pressed the call button. I kept pressing it until he ran in. Mrs. Vance? Are you in pain? Lock the door, I said. He froze. What? Lock the door, Dr. Eris. Please. He saw the desperation in my eyes. He locked it. I grabbed his wrist. My grip was weak, but my will was iron. You can't find the viral cause because there isn't one. Test me for arsenic. Test me for thallium. Do it now. Mrs. Vance, he said gently, heavy metal poisoning is rare, and your husband said, my husband is murdering me. I hissed. He confessed on a recording I just heard. If you don't test me, you are letting a homicide happen on your watch. Do the test. He stared at me. He looked at my chart. He looked at my trembling hands. He nodded. He drew the blood himself. He took hair samples. He ran the test stat. 2 hours later, he came back. He looked pale. He looked like he had seen a ghost. It's arsenic, he whispered, closing the door behind him. The levels aren't God, they're lethal. But because you're still conscious, because your kidneys haven't fully seized, yet we can reverse it. I started to cry. Real tears this time. Chelation therapy, he said. It will be painful. It strips the metals from your blood. But we have to start now. No, I said, wiping my eyes. Not yet. Or at least, not on the official chart. Mark checks the charts. If he sees I'm getting better, he'll finish me off with a pillow over the face. Dr. Eris understood. I'll run the chelation through a secondary 4-line. I'll mark it as hydration and palliative care on the main system. We'll save you, Elena. And we'll let him think you're dying. The next morning, day 2, the chelation was burning through my veins like fire. It felt like acid was scrubbing my insides. But I had to look weak. I had to look fading. Mark arrived at 9 a.m. He brought a notary, a small, sweaty man who smelled of stale tobacco and fear. Elena, my love, Mark cooed, sitting on the bed. He blocked the view of the 4 bag. I know you're tired, but the lawyers say there's a tiny issue with the account transfer. We just need one signature to make sure your legacy is safe. He held out a document. It wasn't about legacy. It was a transfer of deed for the house and the liquidity of the Blackwell Trust. I can't, I moaned, letting my head loll to the side. Mark, it hurts. I know, baby, he said. His voice was soothing, but his eyes were blazing with impatience. He shoved the pen into my hand. Just sign it. Then you can rest. You can sleep forever. I felt the pressure of his fingers digging into my wrist. He was hurting me. He was literally forcing my hand. I looked at the notary. He was looking at the floor, refusing to witness the coercion. I signed, but I didn't sign Elena Vance. I let my hand shake violently, and I scrawled a jagged line that looked like a signature but was legally gibberish. Mark snatched the paper away before I even finished. Good. Good girl. He handed it to the notary. File it immediately. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. Almost there, he whispered. Tick-tock. That afternoon, Mark left to make arrangements. He was meeting with the funeral director. He was picking out my coffin. He probably wanted the cheapest one that still looked expensive. Samuel slipped into the room. He was wearing scrubs he had stolen from a laundry cart. He looked terrified but determined. He handed me a small tablet. I put everything on here. The audio, the photos, the video. We watched the hidden camera footage from the study. It showed Mark pouring a powder into a jar of tea leaves. It showed him shaking it, holding it up to the light and smiling. Then he made a call. She's fading fast, he told someone on the phone. His mistress, I realized. By Friday, you and I will be on the yacht. and she'll be in the ground. She thanked me for the tea, baby. Can you believe it? She thanked me. I watched him laugh at my murder. I watched him mock my gratitude. The pain in my body vanished. The chelation burn vanished. All I felt was cold, hard resolution. Dr. Eris, I said. The doctor was standing by the door, watching the video with horror. Call the police. Not the beat cops. I want detectives. And tell them to wait. Wait. Eris asked. I want him to confess, I said. I want him to say it to my face when he thinks I'm taking my last breath. I want the jury to see his soul. Day 3. The deadline. The doctors disconnected the chelation. My color was better, so I had to use makeup, gray eyeshadow under my eyes, pale foundation on my lips, to look like a corpse. We set the stage. Dr. Eris manipulated the heart monitor to show a slow, dying rhythm. Beep, beep, beep. Samuel hid in the en-suite bathroom with the door cracked an inch. His phone was mounted, recording the entire room. We called Mark. Mr. Vance, Dr. Eris said, his voice grave. It's time. You should come now. Mark arrived in 12 minutes. He burst through the door, panting. He tried to look panicked, but I could see the excitement. He was vibrating with it. He walked to the bed. He looked at the monitor. He looked at me. Elena, he whispered. I opened my eyes halfway. I kept them unfocused. Mark, I wheezed. Is that you? I'm here, he said. Let go, Elena. It's okay to let go. I'm scared, I whispered. Did I make you happy? He leaned in. The room was silent. He thought he was alone with the dying woman. He thought he had won. You were useful, he whispered. But God, you were boring, Elena. You and your pathetic need for love. You killed me, I breathed out. The tea. He smiled. He actually smiled. I did. A slow, painful work of art. And the best part? You made it so easy. Goodbye, Elena. He stood up, straightening his jacket, ready to call the time of death. I opened my eyes wide. I focused on him. The fog was gone. You didn't get away with anything, Mark. He froze. He looked at the monitor. It was still beeping slowly because it was rigged. Then he looked at me. I sat up. I swung my legs over the side of the bed. His face, it was a masterpiece of terror. All the color drained away. Elena, he stammered. You're hallucinating. No, I said, my voice strong, filling the room. I'm not hallucinating. And I'm not dying. The tea, Mark? Dr. Eris found the arsenic. We found the forged will. We found the insurance policy. He stumbled back. Doctor, she's crazy. Sedate her. Dr. Eris stepped forward, crossing his arms. She is perfectly lucid, Mr. Vance. And her blood work is already at the lab. And you're on camera, Samuel said, stepping out of the bathroom, holding the phone high. Mark spun around. He looked at Samuel. He looked at me. The trap snapped shut. You. He snarled. You ungrateful little. He lunged. Not at me, but at the door. He didn't make it. The door flew open. Detectives poured in. Mark Vance. Get on the ground. Elena, he screamed as they tackled him. He was struggling, his expensive suit tearing. Elena, tell them it's a mistake. I love you. I did it for us. I stood up. I walked over to where they had him pinned on the linoleum. I looked down at him. In 72 hours, I whispered, mimicking the exact tone he had used on me. You lost everything. Elena, please, he begged, snot running down his face. A pathetic, broken man. Enjoy prison, Mark, I said coldly. I hear the tea there is terrible. They dragged him out. I stood there, listening to his screams fade down the hallway. The twist wasn't that I died. The twist was that the woman he married died in that bed, and someone new stood up. Dr. Eris told me later that Mark had actually paid a lab technician to falsify my initial results to make it look like organ failure, so no one would look for poison. The 3 days was a script he wrote. I stayed in the hospital for another week to finish the treatment. But this time, the room wasn't sad. It was full of light. Samuel brought me real food. We laughed. We planned. I realized that I survived not because I was strong, but because I finally learned to trust the right people. I trusted the driver who everyone ignored. I trusted the young doctor who everyone dismissed. I'm back at the Cliffside house now. It's quiet, but it's a peaceful quiet. I had the carpets replaced. I'd burned the furniture Mark sat on. Samuel owns his own logistics company now. I funded it. He comes over for Sunday dinner. He is the brother I never had. Dr. Eris runs the new toxicology wing at the hospital, funded by the Blackwell Grant. And Mark? He's serving 3 consecutive life sentences. Attempted murder. Fraud. And it turns out I wasn't the first. They found evidence of a girlfriend in Ohio who died of sudden heart failure 10 years ago. I stopped a serial killer. I look in the mirror and I see the scars, but I also see a warrior. Listen to me closely. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like your husband. Sometimes it looks like the person pouring your tea. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it is. If you feel unsafe, run. Sometimes the hand holding yours is checking for a pulse. But sometimes the stranger in the background is the one who will hand you a lifeline. Would you have trusted Samuel? Would you have been brave enough to wait until the last second? And Mark, if you're somehow watching this from a cell, check your watch. Your time is up. I'm Elena. I survived. And now it all belongs to me.